Hi, everybody. Welcome back to day 2 of testimony in the trial of Natalie Cochran for the murder of her husband, Michael Cochran. The plaintiff's theory is that she murdered him via an insulin injection, or actually, I don't even know if there is a theory about the methodology to which he got the insulin, but they're saying that she administered insulin to him to end his life to prevent him from learning about her Ponzi scheme that she's already been convicted of. So, what happens on day 2? Stay tuned. Welcome back to West Virginia. I was born in Virginia, by the way. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home, country roads. Anyway, Natalie Cochran is on trial. She comes in every day from the prison. I don't know. She's being held somewhere locally right now for the trial, but under normal circumstances, she is serving an 11-plus year sentence. I think I misspoke the other day by saying her plea deal was for 5. It was actually, she got the max. It was 11 years and some months that she has to suffer in a federal prison. So she is on trial for the murder of her husband, Michael Cochran. And the person on the stand yesterday was Stephanie Hamilton. Stephanie and her husband, Chris Hamilton, I believe that's her husband's name. Yeah, they were neighbors, also investors. Yes, they had put in anywhere from $15,000 to $17,000 into her scheme. But they weren't aware of this at the time. She actually met Natalie when their sons played football together. Now, Natalie has grown children now. They're adults, and I expect that we are going to hear from them. They're not in the courtroom because there is a rule of sequestration in order. That's the rule that gets invoked sometimes, where if you're going to be a witness, you can't be in the courtroom until after you've given your testimony. You can't listen to any other testimony. So we believe that that's why you have not seen any of her children in the courtroom. So apparently there were, when she went on, she didn't go on trial for the Ponzi scheme. She took a plea, but part of that whole investigation also had to do with she was faking having cancer, and she had ripped off the Little League for $10,000. This is what people believed. I don't know that there was any proof of these other 2 allegations. And during the plea agreement, she took the plea on the higher charges anyway. But so there's that air over there. So if you made friends with her with Little League football or whatever they call little football, is this the organization she took money from? Anyway, they were friends. So she was told by Natalie on February 6th that the night before she had a 103-degree temperature and was vomiting. I thought that when I heard the openings, I thought they meant that was Michael. This was Natalie who was sick the night before, 103-degree temperature and vomiting. And one of the things that the defense asked her, I'm sorry, I'm getting plaintiff and defense mixed up because I just covered that civil case. One of the things that the state asked her was, how did you know your temperature was 103 degrees? Took it with a thermometer. Well, and that was Natalie's response. Well, she took it with a thermometer. That's how she knew it was 103 degrees. Like, are you stupid? It's a thermometer. We all have thermometers. She took her temperature, right? Hold on to that thought. So she informed her friend, Natalie, Natalie informed her friend, Stephanie, all these names, Stephanie, that Mike was getting sick too. a phone call at some point that morning before he collapses is made, or maybe it was after he collapsed. It was after he collapsed. After he collapses on the floor, Natalie actually calls Stephanie's husband, Chris. Hey, he's on the floor. Can you come over and help me get him off the floor? So I guess Chris couldn't do that at that point in time. He calls Natalie and his wife. Now, his wife by profession is a PA, physician's assistant. You know, that's the person that most of the time you're going to see. You're either going to see the PA or the ARNP, because doctors are way too busy to see every single patient. So the PA, they can prescribe, they can't prescribe. There's certain things they can't prescribe, lots of things they can't prescribe. And they're usually the ones that have the most amount of time they can spend with you explaining your disease, explaining the recovery, you're not going to get that out of a regular doctor. So these are pretty medically knowledgeable people. Stephanie was. So he tells his wife, Stephanie, can you go by there? And can you bring them a thermometer? She said she didn't have one. What? She told her, Stephanie, earlier, I had 103-degree fever. Okay. But then she tells her husband, I didn't have a thermometer. So Stephanie goes and stops by. Now, meanwhile, Natalie has already called two contractors that were on site. She was having some work done, and they came over, picked him up off the floor, put him on the couch. So Stephanie stops by, and she said he was on some kind of a monitor that showed his heart rate and blood pressure, and it looked like the monitor had just run the vitals, and it was sort of sitting idle, and the vitals that she saw on the monitor were fine. Now, why he's got this monitor in the house that he's hooked up to, it's likely because he had a situation prior to this where he had a seizure, and maybe he was sent home with a monitor. I don't know. So Stephanie, she's talking to him. He's not responding to her, but at one point she said he did turn his head and look at her. So he wasn't totally out of it, but she asked Natalie 3 different times, did he hit his head? Are you sure he didn't hit his head? She said she was there for a total of 28 minutes, and Mike never spoke a word during those 28 minutes. Also, during the time she was there, she never saw Natalie's sister. Now, later on in this, as he's sitting on the couch later on this evening, we know that he defecates and urinates on himself, and Natalie and her sister change him and then put him right back on the couch. She never saw the sister. Stephanie said that Nat told her, it's just another seizure, and I'm not willing to take him to the hospital. He doesn't want to go to the hospital. I'm not going to do that. So Stephanie's like, blame it on me. Tell him I made you take him to the hospital, because he didn't like hospitals. So if he woke up in the hospital, you might be mad at Natalie. And she's like, no, blame me. Then she talked about how she had money invested in their scheme. And what else? I got to turn a page. Okay. And the defense made a really good argument. If she was trying to kill him, why call all these people over? Why not just let him lie on the kitchen floor and die? Why are you calling the contractors? Stephanie's husband, you rescheduled. We'll learn later she rescheduled that appointment that they had for flying to, they rescheduled that. So we know that Mike hated hospitals. Stephanie really wanted him to go, told him that she would take the blame. All right, I already told you that part. Okay. Then the next person on the stand was a Bank of America executive, and he was appearing by Zoom. So now I don't mind Zoom, but it seemed a little less formal than you appearing in court. But anyway, he was saying that as an institution, they considered what was going on with Natalie, as this might not be real, But he said he had met with Natalie several times, but never saw Michael. And his entire dealings with Michael were he had a phone call with her where he was present on her end of the phone call, and it could have been him. She thought he thought that's who Mike was, but she had 100% ownership in this business, and she did not. Well, he couldn't actually say with 100% certainty that she did not have an account at Bank of America, but he thought she didn't have an account at Bank of America. There were checks that she was writing after Michael died. This is after the fact that weren't real fake checks that were going through Bank of America, and this is part of that litigation. So she had texted him early that morning telling him that she had cancer, and that the night before she had 103-degree fever and was vomiting, and let's reschedule this. How about Friday? Okay. But you're planning to kill your husband today? It's really weird. So she wrote false checks that our team knew about. This is one of the things he said. So she was writing false checks. I would love to know the complete story there, because he had stuff he wanted to say. You could tell he had stuff he wanted to say about the financial aspect of all this, but the judge is not allowing all of that in. At one point, he was asked, "You don't know how Michael died, do you?" And he goes, "Well, I have a pretty good idea." The judge struck that answer. Jury, please disregard that. I got a pretty good idea. That was pretty funny. Anyway, then they broke for lunch, and when they came back from lunch, the judge is, he always says, "Hey, is there anything I need to address before I bring in the jury?" And apparently, although this wasn't really fleshed out verbally so that everybody could hear, but I think what happened was Michael, the person that died in this case, the victim, his mother was supposed to testify, and then she may have broke the rule of sequestration by talking to someone else. And so at that point, they decided we're not going to put her on the stand. And so she comes into the courtroom. She starts listening to the rest of the testimony. Her name is Donna Bolton. So apparently she is not going to be able to testify, but she apparently gave a victim impact statement at the sentencing of Natalie Cochran that was quite illuminating. So I guess it would have been nice to hear during this trial, but it's not going to make or break the trial, I don't think. So they then put on the pilot of the plane that they chartered. He gets a call at 6:35 a.m. Or not a call. He gets an email, I think, at 6:35 a.m. Saying that she and Mike were both sick and they would have to reschedule. Now, this guy, then they put another person on the stand who is a friend of Mike's. He's a lawyer. And he had seen him a few days before, and Mike was not sick. He says, I saw him a few days before. He was just fine. Actually, it was the day before, February 5th. And then he did have a phone call with Michael that day saying that, I'm going to go lay down. I think I might be getting what Natalie has. Yeah. So he did acknowledge that he wasn't feeling well. And he did say that, yes, Michael had some seizures in the past, but those were related to some mold issues, some mold exposure. Said he got to go to the hospital. Oh, so he goes over to see him later that afternoon, and he says he's got to go to the hospital now. I'm going to take him. I'm taking him. And he just, let's put him in the car. Let's go. He wasn't taking no for an answer. And they put him in the car and they took him to the hospital. And apparently this was the husband of the woman. This guy, he's got to be Chris. I'm getting all these people confused. This is the woman, and this was the guy that he was supposed to fly over with to the Bank of America. The husband and wife that were supposed to go with them. This is the husband. I think his name was Chris. Because he's the one with the son with the insulin. He says, there would be no reason for Natalie. Yes, she had permission to pick up our son's insulin, but there's no reason for Natalie to have had insulin in her home. Have my son's insulin in her home. There's just would be no reason. He did say that Mike, in the days leading up to his collapse, he had been feeling a lot of stress, but this was over checks that they were supposed to be receiving as a result of fulfilling these contracts and being able to pay people back. So he did know something that was going on in the business, but not the illegality of what was going on. Anyway. Then the final person on the stand yesterday was the hospice nurse. So Michael Cochran gets discharged to hospice eventually, when it's determined that he has brain death, basically. There's nothing they can do to restore his function. They put him in hospice. He's in the hospice for a total of 5.5 hours. They put him on pain meds. He was getting like IV Dilaudid that she could administer every 15 to 30 minutes. And she did. And Natalie stayed there the entire time until he passed away. Interesting, huh? So that was day 2 of this trial. Now, the plaintiff it was the defense attorney. The defense attorney's from Poland, by the way. I knew I couldn't place the language, but someone did say, "Oh, he's from Poland." So he kept asking some of the witnesses, the male witnesses, the friends of Michael, "You work out? You work out, right? You're physically fit." And one of the witnesses, "Hey, flattery will get you everywhere. Or flattery will get you nowhere." It was just funny. Flattery will get you nowhere. He was trying to get them to admit that, like, yeah, he was on steroids. We worked out together. He was interested in bodybuilding. No one has said that. No one has said that they worked out with him. No one has said that he was interested in bodybuilding. No one is saying this. So there's no facts and evidence to support that Mike was a bodybuilder, that he was taking steroids from Mexico and supplements. And I thought that was really, really interesting. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the chat, and I'll be sure to, if I don't know the answer, I'll find the answer for you. It's Friday. Court is being held today in the Cochran case. I think it's a half a day, though. And I think Monday is probably a holiday. I don't know what holiday. It's a President Day or something. I don't know. I have no clue, but I will be back soon with another video. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Have a great day. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.